next morning was Good Friday. And my wife came in and said, honey, I went to a service last night, and the man that spoke was really, really wonderful. I think you'd like him if you'd like to go to church with me tonight. And she left. She walked out. She didn't wait for my answer. And so I'm hollering at her. She's already gone. Well, no, I can't. No, I'm busy. I'm too busy. I can't. Well, my work was with schools. It was Good Friday. I'm not busy. They're all closed. And Pastor Wayne, for the first time, it really settled in my heart. And I said to myself, who knows, maybe this is the time for me. And so I told her, I said, I'll go. Well, she wasn't happy or glad or anything. She just said, okay. And she went in the other room. I found out later what happened. She got on the telephone. She's calling all the ladies from the Bible study. Pray, pray, pray. My husband said he's going tonight. Well, they've been praying for me. I didn't know it. In fact, on that very day, I found out later, the Lord put it on 5 people's hearts to fast and pray for my salvation.
It's amazing.
God just did that together.
Yeah.
I mean, God is so amazing.
Mm-hmm.
So we go, we drive to Otwell, Indiana, which is a town that's not even on anybody's map, hardly.
It's a good drive from here.
Yeah, it was an hour and a half or so, something. And when we got there, it was a little bitty country church, a Church of God church, north of Otwell, out in the country. And so when we get out there, we walk in. We weren't late, but we were close, 1 or 2 till 7. And when we walk in, this little church, and it was very, very small, is packed. One aisle, and when we get in, there's no place to sit. And some people on the front row on the right side get up, and they usher us down. And my seat is front row aisle on the right side.
It's not the prime place.
Can you imagine a sinner, man, in a place like that? Well, they had an evangelist, song evangelist, a black fella. He's a friend now. Okay. He thought that I had to be saved since I'm sitting in the front row. Yeah. And he got down and he's singing a song that we haven't heard in decades. A song called "The Day He Wore My Crown." Yeah. And part of the words are, I took all the blame. I deserved the shame. But you gave your life for me the day you wore my crown. And he's coming down, Pastor Wayne, right in my face. He's just getting inches from my face, and he's just singing this song. He said later he thought he was encouraging the brother. Well, I didn't. I mean, I'm under conviction. I'm under awful conviction. And I know that he doesn't know this, and I'm just hanging on. Well, they call on the evangelist to speak. His name's James Wright. He's a good friend of mine now. Didn't know him then. And he's kind of a man's man. He's a football coach, and he's just rough and tough. And I was relating to him because I thought of myself as rough and tough. I was 125 pounds when I graduated college. How rough and tough do you think I really was? But in your mind, well, he gives the message. And the message, it's a Good Friday message. And I find out later it's a community service. The churches around the area came into this little church. His message is hypocrites in the church. Hypocrites in the church. Well, I'm sitting here thinking, I like this. I didn't say amen or anything. I didn't know that was allowed in church, but I didn't say anything. But I'm thinking to myself, yeah, you tell them, you tell them. Well, after he finishes the message, and it's a significant message in terms of time, he said, I don't know how many of you are going to understand this, but I've got another message to preach. And I thought, I don't know much about church, but I know it's an hour. And I looked down at my watch, and we've already been there an hour and 10 minutes. Yeah. Well, he talks 5 minutes. Why he doesn't want to preach the second message. Then finally he begins, and he preaches the second message. The second message is what Good Friday was really like, as though he had been there. Oh, yeah. Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness. God was drawing me. God was breaking me. He was calling me. And, I remember at one point, they're having the altar call. And at one point, we're seated. And at one point, I felt somebody like touch me like your knuckle would, like this, in my back. And I turned around to the fellow behind me to tell me, leave me alone. I know what I need. But his head's bowed, his eyes are closed. He's praying. I thought, how'd he do that? And it happened again, and I turned around again, and he's still down praying. I thought, how did he do that? And it happened a third time, and then finally I realized it wasn't this guy. It wasn't this guy that was prodding me. It was something else. I didn't realize. Now, when I tell you this, it's going to be hard to believe that any man could be this out to lunch, but I was. I didn't realize. But where this nudge was coming was below the pew line. No human hand's gonna, I know people that watch this and listen to that, they're gonna think I'm making that up, but it's the truth. Well, I tried to get up. I knew I needed to get up. I wanted to get up, and I couldn't get up. I literally could not make myself get up. And the evangelist is going on, and I'll never forget. A lot of what he said, I don't remember, but I remember this. He said, now some of you have made promises and you haven't kept them. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. There's nothing he could have said or done that could have yanked my chain like those words. And Lord, I got to get up. And I began to pray. I remember this like it's just happening. Yeah. I began to pray, Lord, help me to be strong enough to become weak. I don't know where, I never heard such a thing, but I knew that I had to surrender entirely if I'm going to walk this walk that they're talking about. And I'm praying that God will give me the strength to lay it all down, would be a more spiritual way to say it now. But at that time, I'm praying, Lord, make me strong enough that I can be weak and let it go. Well, finally, when I got up, Pastor Wayne, I'm crying, I'm boo-hooing, my nose is running. And I'm not like that. I'd never been like that. And now all of a sudden, honestly, I'm a new creature when I stand up. I went to the altar, but it was what 3 steps or 4 steps. I mean, it was right there. And I knelt down at the altar, and they came and prayed with me. And here's what I don't remember if I prayed after them, and I probably did. But what I remember more than anything was this. I remember praying to the Lord and saying, Lord, I can't believe that I can ever really be straightened up. I can't believe that my broken life can ever be mended, because as an alcoholic, everybody that knows you knows you're drunk. And they know you come Thanksgiving, you've already been drinking, you come to help move or whatever the family thing is, and you're late or you're not there at all, and everybody begins to say, that's just Mike, that's just, and you earn that reputation, you deserve it. Now here I am thinking, how this life that I know you're calling me to is so far from that. And so I said, Lord, if you've ever got anything that you want me to do, I said, Lord, if you'll speak to me in a way that I can understand. I never knew God spoke to anybody. That wasn't a part of my background. Not one time. But that's what I'm saying. Lord, if you've ever got anything you want me to do, if you'll speak to me clearly in a way I can understand. And I said, and if you'll give me the strength, by the strength you give me, I'll follow you. That wasn't in his message. It wasn't in my background. And God began to speak to me. And I was so shaken because I thought maybe I'm the only one in the whole world. For a while I felt alone. It sounds egotistical, but it wasn't. It was fearful that the God of heaven would speak to me. And I grew up singing these songs like, and he walks with me, and he talks with me, and he tells me I am his own. But those are just beautiful songs. I never thought they were literal. And my sheep hear my voice, they know my voice, and they follow me. I mean, that's pretty and poetic, but who would have thought